Hello to everyone, here again. I'm going to show you some tips to improve the face of this female or fairy. So for this video tutorial, you have to link with the previous one to understand what happened here. This is because I'm going to give you something to improve the face. On the previous video, you have something perfect to paint faces, okay? But on this one, I would like to improve something else. So I'm going to explain you some tips to continue improving. For that case, think always that now we have to continue creating or building up volumes, but in that case, something more complex. Don't think just on spheres or cylinders. We have to redefine the volumes if you want, or paint the volumes like the sculpture. For that, if you see on the camera, you'll see that I start to reduce the area to improve or getting up more light. Always the same, and in some moments just with the point of the brush. For that, you will be more precise than if you paint with the body of your brush, and you will drop less paint and water on that. So you can have more precise over the miniature. The idea will be continue improving, getting more light, and reduce the area, always to create more contrast on the volumes. Remember that this one is just for the people that they need something else, okay? Because I want to show you everything about my model, but I know that part maybe it's a bit of hard, maybe for some people, but I would like to show you, because if you test, if you try to paint like that, you will get these results. As you see, like this volume, for example, on the cheek, I create some midtones with similar color, with similar mix, or the same mix in some moments, just because I use the point of the brush to create these new layers. For example, something I'm going to do on this video tutorial will be remove or change the nose, because I don't like this shadow. It's too hard, too dark to me, and I decide, like you can see now, reduce or remove directly the nose, because I want to create something more like a child, okay, with less nose, and I remove this deep shadow. Remember the forehead, okay? Don't lose the light on that. So the idea will be the same idea I told you in the previous video. Move the light to the center of this face. Now we have a lot of midtones on both sides, and now it's time to reduce the area to the front view, because we want to represent a lot of contrast with not too much layers. With similar mix, we can get more contrast working on that way, because you add more and more and more paint over the same area to get this contrast with more control to get a smooth surface. And for sure, in some moments you have to redefine, for example, the nose, or change some volumes. This is the moment for the details. Okay, on the face, this is the detail. And as I explained you about the top lip, this lane, this light laning, it's super important. So if you remove or you lose this line, please draw again. A new trick when you are painting lips will be that you have to understand that you have the top lip, bottom lip, and a dark laning between both. When you are painting a tiny miniature like a 28 or 54, maybe in a 75, maybe, you can have the same color, the base coat, for the dark laning and the top lip. And then just paint the light on the bottom lip. But in that case, because it's bigger, it's not super big, but it's bigger than a 75, I recommend you paint with the base coat, everything at the same time, then paint the top lip and the bottom lip, and then you will have perfectly drawn the dark lining between both lips. So then you just have to paint the lights on the bottom lip, going to the light, creating the lips as you like, because you have a lot of reference on internet from models or a lot of faces on internet, so the lips will be different. In my case, because I have this kind of lips, okay, like that, okay, you have these two bolts and a little shadow in the middle. So I usually represent the lips like that, because in a small miniature like our miniatures, in my opinion, it's more interesting have this mid shadow between both lights than if just draw a perfect line with light on everything. And then when you have or you build up the volume, it's just the moment to create a bright. And if you want to represent a bright, I recommend you just decide one side and paint just one point as bright, okay? And always, as you can watch, with the point of the brush, with little touches. It's like stippling, but taking care. So you can see I start to remove a lot of volumes or painting with more lights, because I need to change something, because I made some mistakes, or I decide then that I have to change some volumes or change some lights because I didn't like it. Just for that, because it's your taste. When you have the volumes done, it's the moment to start with the detail. On a face, you have to represent a face that you love it or you like it at least. So for that you have to change something, and this is the moment to change everything. Like in my case, I didn't like it, the nose, so I remove the shadow on both sides. For that, if you see, I add more water. It's like a glazes, the capibases in that case. Now the miniature started to look more like a female, but we have a lot of work to do. For example, on the chin, if you like to create a sharp chin, you have to create more light and more volume. But if you don't like it, that she have a perfect chin, too sharp, it's just with the previous layer will be enough. But it's an area where you can paint with more light to get more contrast, just for that. But remember, the most important part for me will be on the cheek. And please take care about the wrinkles, because if you paint a lot of wrinkles with a lot of contrast, then the result will be like a man. So take care with that, because it's a miniature, it's super tiny. If you paint with a lot of wrinkles, take care. You can paint them, but I don't recommend that. It's super easy to have more contrast than you should have, and will look like a mistake, and the people will say, hey, this is awesome, but look like a man. And now something super interesting, the eyes. What happened with the eyes? Take care with that, because sometimes you paint the eyes super tiny and the view it's too weird. Take care with that. Please, the eyes, the iris in that case, paint it bigger, okay? Like that. And please, always touching the top of the eye, okay? The iris have to be touching the top, because if don't touch on the top, it's like that. It's super weird. So to don't make this mistake, take care with that. For example, if you paint the top of the lip on the, sorry, if you paint the iris touching just the bottom part of the eyes, it's like that. So take care with that, okay? Maybe the eyes feel that the girl is a bit rude, or it's trying to kill you, so take care with that. And I recommend you this kind of view. It's like something like that, okay? And because this is not a huge model, but huge in our miniatures, I recommend you create a light on the iris with more contrast and more color. For that case, I'm going to use a turquoise because I like the color and will be super nice. Okay, this color just on the bottom of the iris. And then I recommend you paint the point of the eye, the pupil, to remove and get a sharp definition on the eyes. This is a trick, because if you start with in that case, the first shadow, then we paint the mid-tone on the iris, and then if you paint the pupil on the top, will be perfect to define perfectly this new color. And then it's the moment to paint a little bright on the eye. All of this to get super interesting eyes. And our miniature start to look more natural, more like a girl or a fairy. But we have something really weird. If you didn't see now, I'm going to explain you soon. Now it's the moment to explain you something. You have to create some nuances on this face, and for that I use magenta or something with violet, purple, something like that, or orange. I don't recommend red. And we will use this color, this pure color, to create shadows on both sides under the cheekbone, okay? To create this shadow there, and to create a shadow not super deep, because I want to create on that fairy something like a child. If you paint this both sides super dark, then the result will be like a woman. So this is the difference. I recommend you for that model paint just with pure color and add more water and use this kind of glazes or capibases to paint between layers to get a smooth surface. And you will add a new color to create different information, like a nuance, okay? And the most weird part to me is that I didn't paint the eyebrows. This is super important too, because if you don't paint them, then the face is super weird. for that, please, then when you have painted everything, paint the eyebrows, okay? You'll see how change the face. And please try to paint them with a similar color as the hair. Okay, can you see how changed the face? Now it's more natural, more. So here you have I think a really nice example how to paint a female faces and why I did it. And because I made some mistakes on the hair, I paint with the base coats or glazes going to the hair. Now it's moment to repaint the hair to get a perfect line, a sharp line, to create the dark lining. And if you feel that the base coat is not uniform, please paint again with the same color to get a uniform base coat. Capibases. Okay, after have done everything on the face, it's moment to paint again the skin, because you can have this kind of light on the face and then this mid-tone on the skin. So it's the moment to continue getting up the light. You have to get up the light on similar ways we did it, and for that I've seen that I don't have a perfect light, so I'm going to remove some previous layer with a new one. Just that, super easy. And I'm going to explain you a new trick for you if you don't have airbrush. This is super important for you, because when you have done this layer, it's moment to add a bit of water on the same mix, or make two mixes with the same color, and just go to the shadow or the mid-tone, go into this new layer and stop in the middle of that. This is to create a gradient super easy with the brush. It's not like a glaze, because if you use glazes, then you will have the problem that you have to spend a lot of time to get the similar result, and you can get a gradient. Maybe you will have a gradient at the end with a lot of layer. But in my opinion, if you will blend again with airbrush at the end, I recommend you this kind of new glaze. Okay, it's between glazes and capibases. So the idea will be with the same color, start on a mid-tone, going to the light you made it, the next layer, and stop there, because you will drop the paint and the pigment inside of that, so you can't make mistakes on that way. And if you follow this new way to paint, it's just paint one layer, do this new glaze, and then paint the next capibase, and then again with the same color paint with the new glaze, okay, to create a gradient. And the result will be like you can watch on this video tutorial. Remember, if you want to follow these rules, I recommend you dry the surface first, okay? Because if the surface is wet, you will remove the area where you made a capibase, and then will be like scratches between layers and won't be uniform the light. And you have to create a super smooth surface on that girl. Okay, this is important too. Always I explain it, and again I'm going to explain. You have to paint dark linings. This is maybe the most important stuff. Yep, this is the most important for that, because if you don't have the dark linings done perfectly, then you can paint with the best smooth, the best glazes, with the best contrast, everything the best. But then the miniature will be undefined because you didn't paint that. And if you see here, for example, I made some layers with the point of my brush to create like scratches. It's like stippling, but with the point of the brush to create different texture and just to test. Usually paint with the body of my brush, as you can see here. For me, it's more comfortable, and you get different results, because if everything you paint with the point of your brush, then everything will look the same material. Everything will have a similar result, similar finish. So this is the trick for this skin and this fairy. I hope this video tutorial will be super interesting for you to continue improving faces, and on a female face, because it's usually harder than a man face. Because to paint a main face, it's easier, because if you paint wrinkles or something is a bit strange or weird, it's like more rude or older, just that. But when you are painting a female, you have to take more care. And for that, you have to redefine some volumes or think on more complex volumes. Like that, in that case, it's not just like a ball or a sphere or a cylinder. It's more complex, and this is the moment to take care on that, okay? So this is the video tutorial. This is everything for that part, and I hope you enjoyed watching that. So I hope see you in the next video tutorial, streaming painting with Vanessa. So thank you very much for this support, and see you on the next video tutorial. Bye bye!